Alright, now that we have discussed how we can create a drop-down list using data validation, now we are going to go over a few other types of data validation. So let's begin with the date column. So the first thing that we have to do is select the cell that we want to apply the data validation to, which is cell B3. Then go up to the Data tab and select Data Validation. And this time, instead of selecting List from our dropdown, let's select Date. And from here, we can control what date values the user can input. Our first option is to allow values between two separate dates. Or if we click this dropdown, we are presented with many other different options where we can only allow date values equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, and so on. But for this example, we will stick with between. So for the start date, we can put in January 1st of 2020. And then for the end date, we can put in December 31st of 2021. And if we click OK, it doesn't look like anything has happened, but if we try to enter a date value outside of that date range that we specified, it will give us an error. For example, if I did May 25th of 2019, so this date is before January 1st of 2020, if I click enter, we get an error saying this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions. And if we click retry and put a date value within that date range, so maybe April 19th of 2021, and click enter, that date works because that date value is between January 1st of 2020 and December 31st of 2021. So that's a data validation. Another column that we could apply data validation to is the zip code, because usually zip codes are in a 5-digit format or a 5-digit - 4-digit format. So if we had users inputting data into this spreadsheet, we would want to make sure that the zip code is formatted correctly and prevent any errors while entering the data. So let's click inside cell F3, then click on Data Validation, and then in our drop-down menu, we can select Text Length. And just for this example, let's say that all the zip codes that we input into the spreadsheet will be a 5-digit format. So the text length would have to be equal to 5. So in our first option, instead of it being between a certain text length, let's select this dropdown and then click on equal to. And then for the length, we could put 5. And if we click OK, and if we put in a zip code of 78542, we don't get an error message because that zip code has 5 digits. But if we accidentally came in and put a 6-digit zip code, we would get the error message. So this really helps to prevent users from accidentally inputting the wrong data. We can click cancel. And just as one more example, we could apply data validation to the age. So let's select cell G3, come up to data validation, and this time in our drop-down list, we can select whole number because an age won't have a decimal, right? So let's select whole number, and let's say that everybody within this spreadsheet should be greater than or equal to the age of 18. So we can select our data drop-down arrow. So we only want to allow the age to be greater than or equal to 18. So we can come down here and select greater than or equal to, and then for our minimum box, we can put 18. And if we click OK, and if we insert 19, we don't get an error message. If we put 18, we still don't get an error message because it's greater than or equal to. But if we put 17, we should get the error message. And there it is. So those are a few types of data validation that you can apply to your spreadsheet. And as you can tell, it can really help control what the user can input into your spreadsheet. In the next lecture, I will be discussing how we can add custom messages and alerts to help guide the users to know what to put into the cells. Because if you have data validation in place in your spreadsheet, and if a user tries to input a value and get an error message, they might be confused as to why not they can't insert that value. So that's where the custom messages and alerts come into place.